Sports on a Wednesday, which means we have Shade to finish today's show. And I'm excited about our Shade. Or at least I'm excited about my throwing shade later in the show. So we'll get to that later on in today's show. But we are talking about sports that have a plan to actually come back. The NHL gave American sports fans a ton of hope yesterday when they announced their plan to return to play. Very excited about this. We'll throw up the graphics that we have to explain these to you guys, the exact plan of the NHL coming back, 24-team playoff scenario, the Preds involved. How does this impact the NBA? We'll discuss that as well. Also, the best and worst part about the NHL's plan to return to play. We'll dive into that, brought to you by the Tucker Agency. And Zach, then we get to throwing shade. You are involved in my shade today. That my shade is directed at you for something you did yesterday.
So are you going to be – I know what your shade is already, and this is going to be funny. I won't even respond. I now already know what your shade is because you're not very sneaky with your shade, and I cannot wait to retort to your shade. Hey, get your popcorn ready towards the end of the show because I can't wait for this. I already know what it is.
Well, if you could go ahead and request to join the IG Live, that would be great so I could pop you up here.
Well, you're sitting here attacking. You put antennas high.
I was doing my job.
Antennas high.
Oh, come on.
Antennas high right there.
Now I have bonus shade that I'm going to tell you now. Now you're deflecting from something that you were supposed to do.
Well, to be honest, it didn't say that you were live on my Instagram. So
okay. All right. There we go. Well, I am live. I've been live for several minutes and I'm just sitting here by myself.
When I just pushed it, it went straight to our story. So that's what that is.
So
But
yes.
We will get to shade at the end of the show. My shade, well, maybe I have to alter my shade because attack a man, eye for an eye, and eye for an eye. But my shade has nothing to do with Austin. It has something to do with the grocery store. And I don't know if anybody can relate to this, but it's something I've been going through ever since the quarantine kind of hit. So we will get to those here at the end of the show. But before we do, please share the broadcast. Bottom right corner of your screen. If you're watching on Periscope/Twitter, you'll see those three little dots. Tap that bad boy and retweet the broadcast. We need to pop up in your Twitter followers timeline. Also, Facebook. What's going on, Facebookers? We welcome you guys in. More people will pile in over the next 5 to 10 minutes. And as you guys do, please share the broadcast. Bottom left corner of your screen. Share now to public. Sharing is caring. As we say on this show, we got to pop up in your Facebook friends news feed. So share the show around. Hello to Twitch, hello to YouTube, and hello to IG Live. Been watching Austin for the first 10, 15 minutes of the show. But now you got me. So, you got to be a happy camper on that. We are going to have a good show because we did get a bit of information that gives us hope, and hope is always good, especially when it has to do with sports.
Absolutely. Let's get it going officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered by TennesseeTickets.com. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you like us on Facebook, A to Z Sports Nashville. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube, A to Z Sports. We're Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, and we go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time. Got to thank our sponsors because they make everything happen for our show, for our business, and you guys. TennesseeTickets.com. If you want Titans tickets, Titans 20, Titans 20 saves you $20 off any Titans ticket purchase at TennesseeTickets.com. They will guarantee refund your money back if no games are played. TennesseeTickets.com is where to go. Also, Renters Warehouse, the professional landlords in the Nashville area, renterswarehouse.com to go to find out how much your home can rent for. Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness, 1 15-minute workout at Mandu, full body electronic muscle stimulation. That 15 minutes simulates 5+ hours in the weight room. Open in Green Hills, Brentwood, Cool Springs, Memphis, Texas have some studios. Mandu.com. Your first workout absolutely free. The Tucker Agency, saving you an average of 20% on your personal insurance by having you go to tuckertn.com, tuckertn.com, and Calvin and Subtle. If you need new hardwood flooring, they got you. You've been sitting at home for a long time, staring at those old floors. CalvinandSubtle.com is where to go. Great prices, amazing customer service. CalvinandSubtle.com. Zach, how excited did it make you feel that yesterday a major sports league commissioner was having a press conference talking about an actual plan that was approved for them to return to play in the NHL?
Well, yeah, if you're going to go up a stairway, you got to at least take one step. And I think that's what that told me yesterday, that they had been working behind the scenes pretty diligently to come up with some sort of plan to return, because we're, as Americans, and I know like the NHL has Canadian sports and their impact all over the world, and a lot of sports are. But here in America, we are chomping at the bit to get our sports back. I think that over the last 2 months, we've truly realized what an impact it has on our lives, on our social habits, on what we do and who we root for, and the joy that it brings us, how active we truly are as human beings of going to concerts and going to sporting events and having that hope. And we've talked about that at length over the last couple of months, is how it brings a lot of people together. Well, this was one step in the right direction to say, screw you to the virus. We're carrying on our lives. And that makes me happy. Anytime that we can get back to some sort of normalcy, that was going to make me happy, because this has been a weird funk for about a month and a half. So that was my first reaction, is hell yeah. I mean, the Preds, we know, Austin, we live here in Nashville. The Preds have a huge impact economically and for all of the sports fans, because let's just be honest, the Preds have been pretty damn good over the last 5 years. And we saw that Stanley Cup run and what it did. I'm glad that it is on the path to returning. We'll talk more about a percentage, but it is on the path. That's what yesterday did.
Yeah, the path for sure. So there are details about this, and we'll discuss this more in depth, get our opinions more in depth about what this means. But here is the NHL's plan to return to play. They will have a 24-team restart. So to complete for the Stanley Cup, a round robin tournament for the top 4 teams in each conference. The Preds are not that. A qualifying round for the bottom 8 teams in each conference for a best-of-5 series. Then once you get past that, you have a normal 8 teams in the West, 8 teams in the East, going towards your Stanley Cup playoff and your Stanley Cup final there. And the Stanley Cup final will be a best-of-7. So as of right now, you have the Preds going up against the Arizona Coyotes in the qualifying round, as the Preds are the 6th seed overall in the West, going up against Arizona Coyotes 11 seed. So that will be a best-of-5. So that's absolute chaos. And you mentioned that the Preds are a huge impact to the Nashville economy. Well, I don't know how much is going to impact the downtown economy, because these games are going to be played at hubs, and they've got 2 cities they have to pick for. Hub cities under consideration: Chicago, Columbus, Dallas, Edmonton, Las Vegas, LA, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Toronto, and Vancouver. Those are where the games will be played. They'll pick 2 of those cities, one east, one west, and they'll go forward that way. But Zach, you got to be excited, because there is at least a plan down that has been approved. Now, this has nothing to do with if there's an outbreak, here's what happens, or how are players tested, where can players go, where are they going to live. All of the health precautions, those plans have yet to be really born and made up and approved. But the format for playing has been approved for the NHL, which is great news.
Yeah, that is good news. And look, this is in, and I don't own pencils or pens anymore. That's just not my style. I type it or text myself because I'm a millennial. But this is all written in number 2 pencil, right, with a big eraser, because who knows? This is not in stone. This is not a guarantee that they could adapt to this. But I do think that this is a good singular a starting point of a plan to get at least structure and get the players prepared to what they have to do. I think we'll talk more about the details of all of the sports, and look, Lane comes in here and says the NHL is going to get the ball rolling, followed by the NBA. He mentions the MLB players having the struggle, which we'll mention, but this is the starting point, and it kind of gets the structure around what the sports have to do to get back. These are professional athletes, right? We get rusty when we go on vacation. You come back and do a show, it's not the same, right? You got to kind of get back into the mode. They have to have training camp. They have to train. They can't put not only the players in health for the coronavirus, but they can't put them. Injuries happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to make sure in your sport that you're doing everything for the player, but also everything for the structure of the league to monetize it, right? They got to get back to making money to pay these players, and that's where the MLB comes along, which we'll talk about here shortly.
Yeah, sure. A to Z Sports here live. Now, the title of today's show is the pro sport that's giving American sports fans hope. And I'll admit this. I was not expecting the NHL to be on the forefront of all of these discussions. I said a couple months ago that I thought the NBA would be the most important sports league to come back that would help us get out of the pandemic, that would definitely have an impact on how football would get going. But really, the NHL is the one that's moving the needle and getting the ball rolling here. So here's what we're going to do, because the NHL has this plan written down. It is approved by both the ownership and the Players Association side in hockey. So let's do this. Let's ask this question. Not what percentage chance do you think they'll happen, that they'll have games this summer, but what percentage chance do you think the NBA and the NHL will crown an actual champion this summer? What percentage chance do you think the NBA and the NHL will crown a champion this summer? That's our first question. But first, Zach, tell the people about Tucker Agency and how they can help them during these times.
Yes, they absolutely can. We've partnered with Tucker Agency. Will Tucker and his team can help you. 20%. That's massive. That 20% is on average how much their customers save when they switch and restructure their insurance. That could be money in your pocket, money in the bank that can help you put food on the table and help you with bills. And look, you have insurance. You have car insurance. You have home insurance if you own a home, renter's insurance if you rent, life insurance. If you have kids, you should at least have that. They can structure and bundle it together, still have good quality insurance, but save you money during these tough times. That's Tucker Agency. Will Tucker. I'm going to give you his personal email. This is the kind of connection we have with our sponsors, but more importantly, what our sponsors have with our followers and our listeners. Will@tuckertn.com. That's Will@tuckertn.com. All you have to do is send him a simple email saying, how can I save money on my insurance? That's all you got to ask. I heard you on A to Z Sports. How do I save money on my insurance? Will and his team will hook you up. TuckerTN.com. But Will@TuckerTN.com. Email him today and start saving money.
All right, A to Z Sports here live on a Wednesday. We got throwing shade later on. Don't forget, TennesseeTickets.com. Louis in the comment section earlier says he wants Titans-Vikings tickets in Minneapolis in week 3. Well, just go to TennesseeTickets.com, type in Vikings, and then you'll find that game right there for tickets. Any away game they got you. Use Titans20 for $20 off your ticket purchase for Titans games. TennesseeTickets.com is where to go. The question is, what percentage chance do you give the NHL and the NBA to crown a champion this summer? Not to just come back and play, but to successfully come back, play, finish their tournament style, and then crown a champion. What percentage chance do you give the people? I'm just going to go ahead and read some comments here.
Before you get going, I want to read Chucky's comment on Instagram, because I think he brings up a point that we're all kind of thinking about. Chucky says 50%. They will crown, and it will be interesting how the outbreak rises during Memorial Day to be able to see how active this virus truly is. And that's the reason why we're asking for a percentage, is how much will the virus impact your percentage?
Yes. So, all right. So the first I see, Louis says NASCAR was first. Yes, NASCAR is coming back. Brett says 100% this is happening for sure, and maybe by Zoom. That's funny. Lane says 80% chance for them to crown a champion. Ty says 25%. Ethan, really low, saying 5%. It takes one positive test to shut everything down again. Now, that's not true. I think the NBA has talked about that, of coming up with a plan on how one positive test on a player will not shut everything down. Alex Doherty, our Preds writer for A to Z Sports Nashville.com, says 100% for the NHL. They need the ad money to stay alive. They will do everything they can to crown a Stanley Cup champion. Louis says 95% chance. Let's see more comments. Titan Rick says 100%. El Boogie says 55%. Monsoon going with 100% chance. So Anthony says that's a good point by Zach. It depends on what the virus does during Memorial Day and now the 4th of July even, because people were out doing stuff on Memorial Day weekend, Zach. The lakes were full. The boats were packed. I saw the Ozark pictures as that was getting wild up in there. But what is the impact that rolls out of Memorial Day? And we've seen states such as Florida and Georgia, as they've reopened, nothing's really backtracked and gotten worse. Numbers have continued to be positive. So, Zach, what is your answer to the percentage chance that the NBA will have a champion and the Stanley Cup will go to the NHL champion?
Well, so I think Damon brings up a good point, and he's a little bit higher than I am, but he says 70%. The players are young, healthy. That's the category they're in, and an incredibly low risk. It will take a wave infection to end the tournament. And that's the struggle that I have with this question is it's not going to take one. You're not going to set a plan up to completely just ruin your plans if one player or one coach or one trainer has coronavirus. But it's about the perception of what everybody else does. Early on in this pandemic, you saw a lot of shaming towards restaurants and other businesses because they didn't shut down.
It was like the St. Patty's Day weekend in Nashville. A lot of shame went around to all the bars who threw their bashes, and which would and like the spring breakers down in the Panhandle, right?
Right, and that shame, I think, will still. Now, I think a lot of people are ready to get back to work and ready to get back to where they want to be, but that shame is still out there because of the media. I mean, I don't know if you saw this clip yesterday, but there was a guy out in Wisconsin with a mask on reporting live, and he was basically saying how unbelievable it is that nobody's wearing a mask, that this is ridiculous, nobody's wearing a mask. But in fact, his cameraman behind the camera wasn't even wearing a mask, and one guy called him out live on television. Like, so everybody has a difference of opinion of the impact of this.
Yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and say 60% that they will crown a champion. I'll give that 40% to the virus, and I hate the damn virus, as you know, just like everybody else. But that 40% is big because I think the impact of ESPN, the impact of Fox News, CNN, all of the political channels trying to infiltrate and get the story for ratings, for clicks, they're going against what we all want, and that is for the Stanley Cup final trophy to be raised above the captain's head, right?
Right.
That's what we want. But those news outlets, they don't want that. They want the ratings.
Right. And let's see, Mookie says, got to wait 2 weeks to see what the impact is. That was coming out of Memorial Day, which is true. So you see the SEC has announced that facilities will open back up June 8th, which is 2 weeks after Memorial Day. So we'll start to see things and sports leagues open back up. You've seen governors who were super, on the close everything down side that have kind of come back in California, New Jersey, and New York and said, let's open these back up to our pro sports teams to allow them to get moving again.
I want to say this before you give your answer, Austin.
Okay.
I think a major deal, and my percentage will rise and fall with how they handle the health part of this thing in sports leagues. If they test everybody like every day or every other week or every week, my percentage will plummet, because I think there will be asymptomatic people that if they don't test, then life can move on. But if they keep testing everybody, then that guy's going to have to sit out. That guy's going to have to sit out. And the hard part is what Fauci and all the scientists have said, it's a 2-week virus. 2 weeks is detrimental if you're a good player in a sport, right?
Well, yeah,
so how they test is huge.
And that's why you talk about with the qualifying round in the Stanley Cup playoffs, having a best of 5 for the Preds in Arizona. If Roman Josi is out for 2 weeks in a quarantine, Preds ain't beating the Coyotes, guys. It's that type of thing, which I understand that. And the whole reason why I thought the NHL would probably be on the back end of this, and I thought we would see baseball, I thought we would see basketball first, is because, frankly, The NHL is played on ice. There's a lot of cold. There's water. There's moisture. Colds and viruses in general are more prevalent to spread around an NHL locker room because of or a hockey locker room than it is a basketball locker room or a baseball clubhouse, just because of the nature of the sport. But the NHL's, as Alex Doherty, our Preds writer, brought up, the NHL's desperate. The NHL has to have this ad money. The NHL's not the NFL. They're not the NBA. They don't have these huge national TV contracts.
They're a small business in a big business world.
Exactly. The NHL is very regionally based. And so they have to have this. They got to have it come back, and they got to have a way. So, Zach, you said 60% chance. I think it's an 85% chance that the NBA and the NHL crown a champion this summer. It's going to come back. They're desperate. The desperation has to go into that. They're going to be able to figure this out. I don't think, because of the age of these players, I think they will not just shut it down if one or two guys on a team gets the virus. They're also operating on a campus with these hub cities for the NHL is trying to pick two different hub cities, one east, one west. The NBA is trying to figure out if Disney makes sense in Florida, or if they can go to Las Vegas where the casinos are open back up and have a campus style season and campus style playoffs where you are in a controlled environment for the majority of the time, where if you keep the virus out, the virus doesn't have a good enough chance to really shut things down and make it awful. So I say 85% chance that once they start, I don't think they're really going to stop. And Charles Barkley came out this week and said there's going to be basketball this summer. The whole goal was to flatten the curve, right? It wasn't to eliminate the virus. Like, the goal was to flatten the curve. The curve is flattened. Let's go. Let's get back to it. And somebody said that earlier in the show that the virus is overblown. Look, we would have never known. We will never know if we overreacted or not, but we would know if we underreacted. Now, I would rather overreact and save more people than underreact and people die from this thing, but the curve is flattened. Let's ride.
Yeah, so Brett brings up a funny comment. Says, "If is Vegas going to give odds on players testing positive? That's a whole new sport in itself."
Hey, let's gamble it.
So 85% I think is too high, because if in fact a virus devastates a singular team, you're screwed, Austin. Like, that is, and look, I think in everything we do, what's the worst case scenario and what's the best case scenario?
Yeah.
The best case scenario is they handle everything. It's downplayed. And I hope that it's the 85% that you're speaking of. But you also have the worst case scenario where major players get the virus and 2 weeks are out, and their team, it's not a true representation of a champion. Yes,
but
it's going to be scarred no matter what.
It's right.
Then what's the tournament worth if
money.
If the virus completely, influences the winner of the tournament?
It's money. Like, the winner of the Stanley Cup, or the NBA Finals this year will always have a big ass asterisk next to it. It's always going to be there. You're going to view this differently than every other champion in that league. But right now, in the NHL's case, the desperation of trying to survive and hang on with ad revenue from a TV contract for the Stanley Cup Final, like, it's just everybody understanding that we have to do this weird Stanley Cup Final tournament in order for the betterment of our sport, so we can get back to normal. And next season, we're back to where we were. So you know what? Go play the tournament. If whoever wins the Stanley Cup, great. Congratulations. You won the weirdest Stanley Cup in the history of the Stanley Cup. But, at least everybody in the NHL was able to survive, get through it. And now let's get back to normal next season, where we understand that it's back to normal and not going to be a weird cup format.
Yeah, and I think one positive that we all can agree on is that we are trending back to normal. How fast that trend is, like today, feels a lot better than it did 30 days ago, where we were bitching and moaning, right? So we're on the right trajectory. Lane brings up a point that I haven't thought of when you talk about the NHL. He says one thing about the NHL is the number of foreign players they have. Are they going to have to quarantine when they come back into the United States to play? Because that has been what they've been doing. That's why a lot of tennis players haven't done that. Lee Westwood wouldn't come back to play because he's like, I'm not going to come to the United States, sit for 14 days just so I can play. That's one of the things that he's – so I think that brings up a very good point.
Sure, and I know Preds players are overseas, like Matthias Ekholm's back in Europe in his home country, and you've got several. That's why there's no timeline. Like if you notice when it came up with this NHL plan, there's no timeline for this. There's no like we're gonna start this in the middle of July, or there's no month determined because you have to allow for these athletes to get back to the States, get back to their playing cities, and be able to get through that process. They did talk about the return to practice protocol where at first it's only going to be 6 players on the ice at one time for a practice. So you're going to slowly roll into that. So maybe while the guys who stayed in America, who stayed in their cities, they get out there first. They go through that first rotation of 6 players on the ice while you get guys traveling back. I think it's gonna happen. The NHL has to have it happen. That's why I'm so high, 85% chance that we have a Stanley Cup champion.
Sean Gill says to you, he says, you say that they'll have an asterisk next to their name if they win. Sean says, I think it'll be the hardest championship to win in the history of the sport.
Oh, let's go ahead and get to that then. The best and worst part about
No. Let's not get to that then because I want to talk about, before we get to the best and worst part about the actual NHL plan, Austin, what do you think and how do you think it looks that Major League Baseball and its Players Association are sitting there bitching and moaning, not getting a deal done because of the almighty dollar? What is your reaction to that?
I think it makes the players look selfish because, look, baseball players make a lot of money. But I also know that 50% of Major League Baseball players last year were 0 to 3 year players. So the majority of the league are players who are not making tens of millions of dollars a year.
I disagree with this. This is why I wanted to get into it.
You disagree?
I don't look poorly upon the players based on that.
I think now I also understand that it was the first proposal and that the players are not just gonna be like, okay, sounds good. First time's a charm. Let's go for it, right? No, third time's a charm. That's the saying for a reason. So there's gonna be a rebuttal. There's gonna be a second proposal, maybe a third proposal. They'll go back and forth and figure something out. But the players, under this proposal, as I heard from Jeff Passan of ESPN, the players, the ones that make the most money, would be taking the biggest pay cut. So the players like Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, Justin Verlander, all those big names that are making 30 plus mil a year, they would be taking a 65% pay cut. And they say for a half a season of work. And they just said, hell no, we're not going to do that. You look around this country, there's a lot of people who have taken at least a 60 or 65% pay cut, if not more, if not lost their jobs. So I think the Major League Baseball players, I understand it was proposal number 1, but tread lightly. Be aware of how you look because you can't just skip the season. You have to play it.
No, I disagree with how it looks. If I'm Justin Verlander and a billionaire owes me $30 million, I tell the owner to go screw himself if he wants to pay me 10 of that or 7 of that or 5 of that. That's not the contract I signed with you. It upholds both ways. And hey, I'm sorry this pandemic happened to you, billionaire, but you got to put your money where your mouth is. I've been saying this for years, Austin, that these contracts that Major League Baseball are paying these players are absolutely bogus. They're writing checks that they can't sign now, and that's unfortunate for them. Well, if I'm a player and you owe me money, but you better pony up.
It makes sense. It makes sense why the owners are asking them to take these pay cuts because where does a lot of this money come from? Comes from the gate because they have 81 home games.
Sorry about you.
Sorry about you. Dude, that's business. You have
what's business is a contract.
No, Zach, get out of here with that.
That's what the players are coming back at. That's what the players are saying.
Zach, you know this. Contracts don't mean that much. And when you're in a pandemic.
When you get lawyers involved, hell yeah, they do. I do know what that means.
But, Zach, you also have to be flexible with this. It's a half a season, right? So a 50% pay cut at the most. or I'm sorry, at the very least. That makes sense. Now you take an 82 game season instead of a 162 game season, and with 0 home games, with 0 gate, with no fans because you're playing in Arizona or Florida. Like, of course the owners aren't going to have that money because there's no fans to help pay. Like, it just makes logical sense to me.
It makes logical sense, but you know what also makes logical sense to me if I'm a player? A contract that I signed for you says that you pay me money. You can't go back on that. And it was the owners that signed the deal, right? They agreed to the ridiculous terms. Like we all know.
Yes, but there's a ridiculous pandemic like that.
I understand that, but I do not think that this looks bad on the players. Yes, do I agree that they need to come to some common ground? Yes, but for what the owners are worth and what they said that they would pay, like nobody knew that this was going to happen. You're absolutely correct. But you also have to prepare for everything. That's why you have an emergency fund. That's why you've done all of this to build this brand and this franchise. You don't sign the $300 million contract.
But it's based on cash flow from 81 home games that you have every year. And when you don't have that, it makes a big impact on the cash flow that you have. It makes sense.
It justifies that maybe the structure of your business was not correct. And we've been saying that for a long time, though. Even before the pandemic, I've been screaming that the structure of baseball and the representation of the Players Association versus the owners, that whole relationship has been completely absurd. And now when a pandemic happens, the warts start to show. And this is just another prime example. So, I'm not surprised that they're in a war. Baseball, that is. Look, the NHL and the NBA and the NFL, those are different beasts. But Major League Baseball, I've always had a problem with that relationship with the players and owners, and now it's showing.
All right, A to Z Sports here live on a Wednesday. B. Cassano, no, it's not freezing for anybody but you on Periscope. I'm watching Periscope right in front of me, so it must be something with your feed there. A to Z Sports, best and worst. Let's dive and actually give our opinions about.
We got 5 feeds you can choose from. Jump over to YouTube or Twitch.
Yes, or IG Live. All clear, as Monsoon says. Okay, so what's the best thing about the NHL's plan to return? That's what we're going to ask now. What's the best thing about the NHL's plan to return? But first, let me tell you about Mandu, the pulse of fitness and also the safest fitness program you could possibly find during this pandemic because it's by appointment only. It only takes 15 minutes for a workout, and that workout, that 15 minutes with full body electronic muscle stimulation is going to simulate 5+ hours in the weight room. I had a workout in yesterday, felt great, feel great, building that muscle back. They get the in-body analysis to help you jumpstart your fitness back to normal after being out of the weight room for a while. Mandu.com. The best thing is your first workout's free. So Green Hills, Brentwood, Cool Springs, also 2 in Memphis. Check it out, Mandu.com. Your first workout is absolutely free.
A to Z Sports, make sure you check out our podcast feed. We got tons of content going out, 615 sessions and primetime tonight. We got you covered here on A to Z Sports. We want content.
All right, so what's the best thing about the NHL's plan to return? That is the question right now. G-Man on Base says the best part about the NHL's plan is that they have a plan. That's great. Zach, my favorite thing about the NHL's plan to return, as I'll pull it up on the screen again for you guys, 24 teams to restart play for the Stanley Cup. So the top 4 teams in each conference have a round robin to determine 1 through 4 seeding. Then you have the qualifying round, the remaining 8 teams in each conference for a best of 5 series to advance. And in that qualifying round, the Preds would play Arizona, a 6 versus 11. Then they would go on for an 8 versus 8 regular Stanley Cup playoffs. The best part about this is that it's going to create absolute chaos because the regular season is over. As far as we know, there's no tune-up games for this. So it's just, let's drop the puck between Nashville and Arizona, best of 5. Let's see what the hell happens. And a team like Nashville, who has got a lot of talent, they might have a chance to do something special in this Stanley Cup playoff because of this. The best part is absolute chaos because you have no idea how in shape these players are. You're gonna find out who's been slacking eating ice cream, who's been working out hard at home, and who can get into and play and get into a rhythm the quickest. I'm excited about this.
So actually, this is funny. Alex, our Preds writer, got the best part for me right on the head, because this is what I was going to say. At first, as I was looking at this, I was like, well, maybe it's I really like, and Damon brought this up. Damon says the best part is having the top 4 seeds play round robin and determine their seeding, while the other ones plays the best out of 5 game series. I like that. I really did. But I was like, in the NHL, seedings don't matter. They don't give a damn. Like, it really does not matter whether you're 1 or 8. We saw that with the Preds run. But Alex actually got mine. Where the Preds are right now, the best part is the Preds have about an equal opportunity to win the Stanley Cup as they do of getting the number 1 overall draft pick. Because if you listen to what Gary Bettman said, I mean, he said a whole slew of things.
Yeah.
It is ass backwards how they decide the draft lottery and how they're going to do that. And very, very confusing. But that's the best part, is you're on both sides of it. You could win the damn cup, or you could get an unbelievable player that could change the face of your franchise for the next several years. You could get the next Alex Ovechkin or Wayne Gretzky, probably not Wayne Gretzky, but you could get an unbelievable player.
It's going to be playing on your AHL team for 3 years, or maybe the overseas. The NHL draft is a wacky thing, so it's kind of hard.
Not the number 1 overall picks. Look at it. No, come on. Do not discredit number 1 overall picks in the NHL.
It's
Do
great.
your research there, pal.
Zach, but who is the number 1 overall pick last year?
It takes them
you have no idea. You have no idea. Like, in the history,
they come out and become really outstanding players.
But it still takes time. Like, it's not like the NBA's number 1 overall draft pick or the NFL number 1 overall draft pick. It's very different. Very different.
Well, let's go through them. Look, I'll pull them up right here. Number 1 overall draft pick. Let's see if they're any good. New Jersey Devils 2019, Jack Hughes.
No idea.
Connor McDavid was one of them.
Yeah, we know
Nathan
him.
McKinnon was one of them.
2 guys.
Taylor Hall's pretty damn.
Are you going through every year? Or
Patrick Kane is pretty.
Are you just conveniently skipping over years?
Matthews is pretty
How
good.
many years are you skipping just to make your argument look better?
Well, I have gone back to 2007.
Okay.
So look, I'm not a hockey connoisseur, but let's go through them. Steven Stamkos, he's good. So there's 2. John Tavares, he's good. Taylor Hall's good. There's 4. Nathan McKinnon, there's 5. Connor McDavid, there's 6. Austin Matthews, there's 7. And I don't know the last 3.
So it's like 55% chance you're going to know who the hell they are. The number 1 overall pick.
But knowing an NHL hockey player that has come through, I mean, that's like, these are not superstars. As you've said it, the NHL is a small business and big business. So I think that's pretty damn good. If you can get a high pick and you have just because the coronavirus has reset the NHL world, that I truly believe is the best part.
All right. So you think the best part is that it's wide open? I mean, I kind of say the same thing. It's absolute chaos.
Well, I was specific. That was the difference.
And I wasn't specific. Was that a shot?
Well, no. Well, ours are different. I said specifically the best part is you're right in the middle.
Okay, so you could go either way. So you could go either way, win the cup, or get the number 1 overall pick. All right. So look, sure. What's the worst part about this, in your opinion?
Well, the worst part, just look at the damn graphic. Actually, we don't have a graphic for that. But the worst part is the cities. Bettman said Chicago, Columbus, Dallas, Edmonton, Las Vegas, Los Angeles. What are you doing in Los Angeles to have this play? That's been a mecca or a big of the actual virus. That makes no sense to me. That one singular city, they're doing that because of the money and not because of the virus. That's the problem that I see. The worst part about this plan is that Los Angeles is on the cities that could be a hub of being considered. What the hell? Los Angeles has been shut down. It doesn't make any sense. That's the worst part about this plan. They really, truly need to get the hubs correct. without money involved and look at the virus more so, right? How can you make a hub city safe not making money?
So we do have the hub city graphic here. So Chicago, Columbus, Dallas, Edmonton, Vegas, LA, Minneapolis, Pittsburgh, Toronto, Vancouver.
Los Angeles should not be on that list.
I agree. LA should not be on the list. And really, Vegas, like I think a lot of things have to go into why these cities are on the list, right? You have to have hotel space to host how many? 12 teams. So you got to host 12 teams and their staffs. So you got to have the hotel space. You also have to have facility space, and which means ice rinks. Now it makes perfect sense to me because I saw some people talking about why is or Nashville should have been a hub for the NHL. It makes perfect sense to me why Nashville's not a hub. They've got like 8 sheets of ice. That's it. 8 around the entire Middle Tennessee area. They got 1 in Bridgestone, 2 in Centennial. They're building some other some sports complexes around, but they don't have enough for people to take the ice to play and practice.
No,
so
the reason why is not that. It's because Broadway's right outside of the damn arena. That's the best part about Nashville, but it's the worst when you have a pandemic and you don't want to be around people. That's the reason.
And Miles says sports aren't going to happen in California. The governor of California definitely backpedaled Deion Sanders 49ers style when he said that sports leagues can start practicing. So California has changed their tune. New Jersey has opened this up. So I think it's interesting.
It's just a good thing overall, right?
Absolutely. But I would rather them change than be stubborn. I think the best option is for Minneapolis and St. Paul because they probably have the most sheets of ice because Minnesota hockey is like high school football and the state of Tennessee are in the South. So I think it makes the most sense for Minneapolis to be one of the hub cities. And then you have to pick one Eastern Conference. And I think it looks like Pittsburgh could make a lot of sense because I think it needs to be in the United States and not one of the several Canadian cities on this because the majority of the teams are in the States.
So what is your worst?
The worst thing for me is they're just taking the last 8 teams and just saying, screw them. And I don't know how that's going to impact. I feel like they should at least play something because overall, I love the plan. So there's not like a thing I really, really dislike about it, but just taking the bottom 8 teams, an arbitrary number and saying, forget you guys, no money for you, go on about your off season. I feel like they should have gotten a little bit of play to at least come back for a qualifying round. If you're going to play and use all those 24 teams, you might as well figure out an idea to get all 32 involved.
I know you're nitpicking on that because
I really like the idea. I really like the plan.
Go screw yourself. Like with those teams, come on. Like really, they didn't earn it. They had the opportunity to a period of time to earn it. Like, and I'd have to look at this. I'm going to pull this up. NHL standings. Like the last team that, like, let's look at their record, right? I think that is the big difference to see whether they deserve to actually get in. So, let's go to the West because the Eastern Conference is not there. Let's see here. So conference. What teams did not get in?
So it's the bottom 4 teams in the West.
Right. So
I don't know who it is.
Well, Chicago got in because they're bottom 3 teams in the West. And because
bottom
30
4.
Teams.
Bottom 4 teams in the West. There's 8 teams not in it. So you take the bottom 4 in the West and the bottom 4 in the East that did not make it.
Well, I am on NHL.com and it has Anaheim, Los Angeles, and San Jose. I know Chicago got in. So there's 16 teams in the East and there's 15 teams in the West.
Oh, that's right. That stupid NHL.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
So the team Detroit. Are you trying to go to bat for Detroit, who is 17-49?
Zach, I said I like the idea. The only thing is why not just get them involved?
They don't need to be involved. Right? Some people just don't need to be involved because they're that bad. It's like pickup basketball. The people that shoot like that, right, with both hands, they just don't need to be involved.
They're a professional hockey team. They're not like that scrub level.
But in this realm, they are the person on the sideline that shoots granny shot. 17 and 49 is unacceptable. You should have been better. No soup for you, my friend.
Okay, again, the worst part for me is that. What was your worst part again? Sorry, I forgot.
LA,
yeah, okay. And the Chad brought up why is Nashville not on the list? Again, they don't have enough sheets of ice. And that's just how it works. Now, Nashville's not a hockey market yet fully. It's becoming that. So they're adding more sheets of ice down the road. If this happened 10 years from now, Nashville might be in the play for it because they've grown more sheets of ice.
All right. Lisa gets the love of the show. Way to go, Lisa. Lisa bringing it strong. Boom, right there. Going to feature her comment because this is how it works. Lisa says, if you're bad, you're bad. That's why we keep tracks of wins and losses. You stink, you're out of here. Lisa, way to go. You got
all right, A to Z Sports. Let's get to our throwing shade. I'm throwing shade at Zach. So this should be fun. So throwing shade every Wednesday. But first, let me tell you about renterswarehouse.com. Renterswarehouse.com is where to find out how much your home can rent for the professional landlords in the Nashville area. So many different ways Renters Warehouse can help you out during these crazy times. If you own Airbnbs and you're sitting there with empty properties, don't do that. Just go to renterswarehouse.com. They have no binding contracts, so you can just rent out your Airbnb for like 4 months if you want to, get some of that income in. Then when everything returns back to normal, open it back up. You're good there. Also, when you're moving, you don't have to sell your home. You can, but you don't have to. Renterswarehouse.com can help you build equity and create an extra cash flow. Renterswarehouse.com.
A to Z Sports, we are powered by Tennessee Tickets. We got great podcasts, great content coming out. This is where I think that Austin's going to go, so I'll just go ahead and promo it. Is that I'm playing Blitz 2000. I am atop the AFC Central. I am 3-1. Had a tough defeat last play of the game yesterday. I play at 1 p.m. every day.
Yep.
So set your timer. Get your phone out and set your timer for 12:59 and hop on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch. We got you covered. We're going live in Adelphia Coliseum against the Baltimore Ravens, who's at the bottom of the AFC Central. But when you play Blitz, every game is a tough game. So it's time to throw shade at someone or something. Mine has nothing to do with that, so I'll just go ahead and start with my shade, and we can finish on you throwing shade on me.
Yeah.
My shade is on the price of fruit. I don't know if you buy fruit.
Yeah.
So I understand the concept of fruit. Fruit is cheap. You can find fruit, right? Fruit is cheap when you buy fruit whole. Fruit is expensive. We should have a new segment called Jacked Up because they jack up the prices of already cut mixed fruit. I don't understand it. I got screwed the other day. I've now started, and this is how I do things now that we've been in quarantine, and I eat breakfast at my house. Used to, I'd get a protein shake. I'd walk out the door and I'd go to a bar or restaurant that was our sponsor or Mandu or whatever. But now I eat breakfast here at my house. Now, I make eggs. I also have coffee now, which I never thought. But I've started on a fruit kick because I love and have enjoyed fruit all of my life. Well, I got caught because I went to the grocery store and bought one of those big things of fruit for the week, right? Get prepared. I check out. It's $14.99 for a small tray of assorted fruit. I just bought the damn thing. I had to. I went back the next week and I started checking the prices, and I realized that a little smaller assorted fruit bowl is like $6.99. These pineapples are not worth $7 cut up. It's ridiculous. So my shade is on fruit prices during a pandemic. Maybe this is how it's always been, but I just started on my fruit train. I'm out on the prices of the fruit, but I love fruit so much, I'm going to have to find an alternative because there's nothing worse than cutting a damn pineapple. That's why they're taking advantage of it.
Anthony says, cut your own fruit. Damon says, vote with your wallet. If it's too expensive, don't buy it. Oh, man. Let's see. G-Man's laughing because Zach's getting fruit, get screwed by buying mixed fruit. Do you not look at prices before you buy anything?
No, I usually don't.
So yeah, and I'm with David. You didn't
grocery store.
You didn't have to buy it.
So here's my grocery store habits. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and fully disclosure. This is how I live. This is how I work. I will look at prices like if I'm going to buy a nice cut of steak. That's probably the most expensive. Maybe if you buy like lobster, which you rarely do, those are the most expensive prices, right? Everything else, I pretty much know is going to be in some sort of realm of understanding, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't look at how much a bag of damn popcorn is or a plastic bag of tortillas. I'm going to buy
have an idea, but for the fruit stuff, you shouldn't be shocked by that. Dustin says, Zach, do you really not own a knife?
I do own a knife, but it's the time. It's not about I'm.
So that's what you're paying for. That's what you're paying for.
But they're overpriced time.
Clearly not, because you bought it because you don't want to spend the time to slice your own damn pineapple. As Matthew says, bought a whole pineapple on Saturday for $1.19.
I understand that. I don't have time to do that, and they're taking.
So that's what you're paying for. So,
I get that. I'm getting taken.
But you're complaining about the convenience. As Shrike says, labor intensive. As a person that had to cut those up for a living, I think they were $7 and $14.
Why? You have all the utensils. You have the time to do it. You're getting paid to do it. I don't agree with that.
So they're having to pay somebody to cut it up and put it in a packaging to give to you because you don't want to cut it up and put it in a package.
That is not worth $14.99. It's just not.
For the person, for the labor.
No. Austin, you or any of your people that are with you right now cannot argue that a tray of fruit, a small tray of fruit, I'm not talking about a big ass tray of fruit, is worth $15 freaking dollars. If you try to argue that, then your ass is crazy. You have
you bought it, so don't buy it.
But I can still bitch and moan about the value of what it is. It's not valued correctly by the grocery store.
Mark says, I think most grocery stores have a pretty good idea of what gives them a profit margin on their fruit.
And they are taking advantage of the people on the fruit, the medium fruit tray that's $14.98. That is not worth that.
Mark says a GoFundMe account has started for Zach's pineapple knife. Buckethead says, if Hugh Freeze can cut up his school-issued cell phone bill, Zach can cut up his fruit.
Yeah, but $14.99 is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. I'm with Mookie. You can't buy it because it's complain about the price. You bought it. So don't buy it next time, and you probably won't.
Exactly. Oh, look, I've told you what I did, right? It's not what I'm future going to do. This is shade. I can throw what shade I want to do on whatever shade I want, right?
Yeah.
That's my shade. I know that small fruit tray is not worth $14.99. You know that in your heart, Austin, and every single solitary person watching this stream right now, they know that small fruit tray is not worth $15.
Well, you paid for that, so therefore it is
the grocery store is taking advantage of that, and somebody needs to call it out.
That's called the market.
I am that man.
The market was set.
For that torch.
No,
I hold the fruit torch for all those that love cut fruit, freshly cut at the grocery store, but do not want to pay the ridiculous fruit prices.
Yeah, there you go. See, I know that I have a problem with Honeycrisp apples. I eat one Honeycrisp apple every day, and I don't care how much. But you know what? No, it's not. It's properly priced because that's the best damn apple out there. How
much does it cost?
For the non-organic Honeycrisp, I think it's $2.70 a pound. And I usually buy about 3 pounds of it every time I go because they're that good. And so, yeah, if I
turns you onto those?
Huh?
Who turns you onto those?
I've been eating Honeycrisp apples my entire life.
No,
Don't act like you're
I've been saying that for years.
Zach, Hey, Zach, I discovered the apple before I started working with you 7 years ago.
The apple. Yes, the apple as a whole.
Dude, get out of here. You're acting like you turned me on to Honeycrisp apples.
Oh yeah. I've been spreading the Honeycrisp gospel for years.
Dude, give me a freaking break. Don't be that arrogant where you think that you turned me on to Honeycrisp apples. That's so absurd. So absurd.
I definitely did.
No, that's pure arrogance right there that you did that. No,
I may have the Honeycrisp arrogance, but I have the Honeycrisp truth.
Well, you think it's overpriced. I think it's properly priced because my ass is going to be buying 3 pounds of that stuff every time I go there. Brett says, Zach, introduce Austin to apples.
Not apples. That's not a generality. A specific type of the best apple. I've been doing that since I was on radio. I told you about that.
Yeah, I know that. And I've been eating Honeycrisp apples for my entire life. I have not always been purchasing the apple because I was a child and my mom and dad would do that. But I've been eating Honeycrisp apples for a long time. Long time. Honeycrisp apples, Pink Ladies don't even come close to Honeycrisp apples. If there's no Honeycrisp apples there, I'm not buying apples because it's too far of a step down. I am a Honeycrisp apple snob for sure. Okay, now my shade. Zach, you got to stop the safety blitz every play. Like you're doing that and you're screwing yourself because you're giving up big plays. And I truly think that if you did not blitz the safety on that final drive against the Niners, you would have won that game. You got to stop the safety blitz. I understand turnovers are going to happen.
Blitz?
Not in a long time. But you got.
Or is this coming from a hypocrite point of view?
No, it's not coming from a hypocrite. It's coming from understanding football. I know blitz is different. But at some point, you got to stop blitzing your safety when he's not supposed to blitz. Like you're hurting your defense. You're hurting your defense.
I'm 3-1. Okay, big dog.
And you should be 4-0.
Look, I lost on the last play because this is not football. This is Blitz 2000. You have to understand that. I get it. I'm calling the plays. I'm playing the game. I get it.
Yes, and I feel like coaching was the problem at the end of that game. It wasn't the players' execution. It was coaching because the players were just executing what Zach Bingham, the coach, told them to do. And you had the bad turnover and the missed field goal and all that. I get that. Turnovers happen in blitz. And so I'm not holding interceptions against you. But you got to pick and choose when you safety blitz. You can't just do that every time.
The haters going to hate. Haters are going to hate. And the best part is look, I thrive on the haters. And now Austin's gotten involved in this blitz game. Austin likes watching me play blitz.
I do.
There's a lot of others.
It's funny.
I love playing blitz, and I can't wait to continue on with this tradition for a long, long time because we're starting to build an audience. 1 o'clock today, we've got a massive game. We got to get back in the winning column. And when in blitz, it's going to come down. Now, here, I'll tell you this, Austin. So hold your criticism. I expect today's game to be pretty close, right? Even though the Baltimore Ravens are the worst team in the league, they have not won a single game all season.
Really?
But when I play them today, I expect it to be a close game. Now, I don't know if I'll win. I think I will make the right plays, but that's how blitz works.
I understand. And look, 3-1. My only concern is that you blitz the safety in bad spots. You can't do that. And I've got
lead the league in sacks.
Yeah, but if you want to blitz the safety the first 3 quarters, that's fine. But I think in situations you can't just always blitz the safety because you hung your guys out to dry on the back end.
They were on fire. Do you also understand that? The San Francisco 49ers had been on fire, and that's kind of how the game goes. And everybody was like, well, why didn't you punt? Why didn't you punt? I had to kick the field goal.
Agreed.
The punt was not an option, right? And that field goal was a long field goal with them on fire.
It was tough.
And so I missed it.
Have you heard me criticize your missed field goal or criticize the interceptions thrown? No. It's just
Aldo Greco should have. I wish that he would have made it.
Aldo Greco led the team in special teams tackles yesterday too.
And he was really, really good. But when it comes down to it, he was on fire. Austin, if I would have tackled him, there is a probability that he carries me into the end zone if you know anything about blitz, when one is on fire, it takes more than one person to tackle him. That was a bad situation I was in, and ultimately I lost.
And I think
take full responsibility.
Yeah, and I think blitzing. Look, we talk about Mike Vrabel's coaching decisions after every game, and you have to hold them accountable. You hold the coach accountable. You shouldn't have blitzed the safety on that last drive.
First time I feel like Mike Vrabel, and I shaved my mustache off weeks ago. But I feel, look, everybody's got 2 cents. You got to win. I take full responsibility. I'm 3-1. I want to be 4-0. But today, it's a good opportunity to get back on track. It's a long season.
You just got to go 1-0 every day. Right, James Franklin?
Yeah, and that's right. And we may start, and goodbye, Instagram. We may start expanding this coverage as the season goes on. We're just through 1 quarter of the season. I may be doing press conferences after these games when it really gets down to the nitty-gritty. I've thought a lot to expand the coverage because there was about 150 people watching me play video games yesterday, and that's starting to grow. Why? Because it's fun. It's entertaining.
It's very fun. I enjoy it. I really enjoy watching these, and I enjoy watching Coach Doug's. And he had a big win against Georgia. But I've got defensive criticism for Coach Doug's too. He's got to stop playing man-to-man with linebackers guarding wide receivers in the slot. It's not working out.
So
he's not fast enough.
Austin,
yeah.
Here's what I will say. That's fair shade that you threw on me today.
Sure.
My only question to you is, are you my poopy stinks? I think that, Austin, you are my poopy stinks that starts yabbing and clamoring. And the only one way to shut up a poopy stinks is to win the football game.
So
today is dedicated to you of trying to get a win.
So I did not watch Coach Doug's with audio last night. I did not watch the Tennessee-Georgia game with audio. So I missed the poopy stink stuff until afterwards when I was like, what is going on? But no, I'm not that. I don't know. I wish I could get to Big Cat's ear and be like, dog, quit playing man defense with your middle linebacker guarding their slot receiver. Because that's how he's getting beat, is because he's playing man defense and man blitz all the time. He's got to be able to switch up the zone in the man because he's given up too many touchdowns. Now,
armchair quarterbacks. I got a ton of them.
I was really good at NCAA football back in the day. I was really good. I pride myself on my ability in that game. He's getting better in the passing game. Still makes some bad interceptions, bad throws, but he's getting better and he's starting to run the football more and get more plays involved. But his defense, you got to know your deficiencies. His defense is bad. Play zone to help them out, not man coverage or they're slow.
Well, he's all playing on Heisman with no sliders. I mean, this is it.
No, it's like he's doing a good job. He's 6-0, but he's giving up opportunities and he's got to play tighter. He had a chance. He had 2 chances to go up 3 scores on Georgia last night, and he botched both of them. And then he allowed them to get back within 5 after both of those botches.
And this is the one thing, El Boogie. And look, 1:00 we're playing Blitz today, live against the Ravens. Big game, live stream. Make sure your notifications are on.
And
I would love to whip El Boogie at Mario Tennis. That's my jam. That's my game. Undefeated. Yoshi would take you to the woodshed, El Boogie. And I've never met El Boogie. I know he watched the show. Mario Tennis is my jam. Maybe I'll start streaming that afterwards. Now I can get to some really good matches.
Bobby's right. Quarantine is getting to Austin when he's this invested into analyzing video game football.
Yeah, because you're not a big video game guy in general.
Oh, but I haven't played video games in like 8 years. It's been a while. I've been busy, man. I've been busy. I don't have time to play video games. But damn it, I love watching football and I love analyzing football and what you can do. And this is what I got, okay? This is what I got, Bobby Dingman. I'm trying to analyze NCAA football because Coach Doug's trying to get to 7-0 tonight, and he's got Auburn. He's got to play better defense consistently.
So before we get out of here, Lisa says, will you chop off your joystick to win a Blitz championship? I'm not that crazy. I'm not Vrabel in that matter. Look, it's gonna get tough. We haven't even talked about playoffs are a long way away, but Blitz playoffs, it's anybody's game. So we got a long season. I hope you come join along for the ride. A to Z Sports, 1:00. We're doing this consistently. I may throw in a double header there here pretty soon just to get a double blitz fix. I haven't figured out when I'm going to do that, but 1 o'clock. Thank you for joining. Thanks for the tips there.
I'm just saying, like, you can blitz the safety sometimes, but don't make it a necessity every damn play.
Hey, today's game's for Poopy Stinks.
Hey, you got to play situational football now, Coach. Come on. All right, y'all have a great day. Zach will be back at 1 o'clock playing Blitz, Titans, Ravens, Philadelphia Coliseum. Also, Buck Rising tonight with A to Z Sports Primetime. New Tighten Up podcast episode out there as well. We'll check you guys later. Thanks for watching.
Adios.